So I bought a Commodore 64 Sound Expander, and this cartridge is designed to basically just increase the amount of sounds that the Commodore 64 can make. Not that it needs it, because the SID chip's awesome anyway. So when you first plug this cartridge in, it does absolutely nothing, as you're about to see. So I'll plug it in, turn the power on, and there you go, just a regular screen. So what I wanted to do is, it didn't come with any software when I bought this, it was just the cartridge only. So I put the software on this Kung Fu Flash cartridge. Now this should be a pass-through for the Sound Expander, and yet when I turn the power on, see, screen just goes blank. I've tried cleaning this cartridge, tried doing loads of things to it, doesn't seem to do anything. First off, I thought it might just be because it's a modern cartridge, the Kung Fu Flash, so I tried a cartridge from the period just to see whether it would work with that. And again, turned the power on, and nothing. So knowing that I can't now use a cartridge to load the software, I had to come up with a different solution. So my first thought was, do I just get it on disk and plug in an old thing? And then I thought, well, let me try one of these Pi 1541s. It's supposed to emulate a Commodore 64 disk drive perfectly. And I do understand this does need a little bit of a setup. It's not just as straightforward as plug it in and away you go. For a start off, you need a Raspberry Pi 3 for it to work. Also, the one I've got here, you'll see, has this optional display, which again comes in quite handy because you can actually see what it's doing and how to get things to work. Otherwise, you're just working off of them 4 little buttons you can see at the top there, which again will just make it really awkward. So first thing was fitting this little display unit. Now I'll go in a little bit closer for this one so you can actually see. On the board it's marked up as VCC. So you see there's a little reset. For some reason, the way they've designed this thing is this display, when it's installed, covers it over. So you can see I've got power, SCL, SQN. If I go over to here, you'll see VCC, so VCC needs to be connected to the power, which again obviously puts it round the wrong way. So once I install it, and that's it done. Yep, so so that's that part of it. So that's the actual unit that I bought, £25. Again, you could make it yourself, solder it yourself, but I just thought this would be easier. Now I'm just setting up the software for this thing, just to see how difficult it is. Unfortunately, it isn't like with a lot of Raspberry Pi things, you just get an image and away you go. This one works a little bit differently in that you kind of just get like there's a whole website, and again I'll put links below so you can see what you need to do with this one. So again, just put in a little search for it, Pi 1541, to get up to the website. And there we go, so the GitHub. And then on this GitHub it had this rather nice thing here which goes through all the details of what you need to do. Again, you download this initial zip file, and then from this zip file we need to extract some of the parts of it. You go down here, you can see got that firmware one as well, which is another one. I've just sped this up because it took absolutely ages for it to uncompress for some reason. Don't know why. I mean, this is at ×8 speed, and you can see the speed it's going at right now. Very long-winded. again, there was just a couple of duplicate files there. I won't worry too much about that because they were identical anyway. So you can see you need the boot code bin, what else, elf star, and there's a fix up there. So you got to put them across straight onto the SD card. Then from the 1541, Pi 1541, that's right, you got to just save it across straight onto the SD card. And again, on Vice you need to get, so this is to actually get the disk images. Again, you normally comes with like a range of them, so you've got the 1541 image, the 1541-2 image, and various other drives depending on what you want to set up. I'm just going quickly through this. So there, right now I've picked the DOS 1541. Later on you'll find out that this wasn't such a good idea. It probably would work, but again, because I'm new to this and even though I'm following the instructions, the other thing you'll see at the moment is that says Pi 1541 on the top, and that's wrong as well. That will get changed later on as well. So if you just bear with me through this video, because there was a lot of stuff. Managed to find the software. Again, this was a little bit difficult to find, so again I'll put a link to this. This is the original software for the Sound Expander. Put it in there. So what I realised, that should just be 1541, a folder called 1541, not Pi 1541. So I just copied everything out of there, put it, so now it's just saying 1541 on there. Added the other bits and pieces, deleted that one. So 1541 is where you save all your disk images as well. So any games or whatever else you want to do. Like for my example here, Sound Expander, I want to just put that on there. Just go back to downloads. No, where am I going? All over the place here. Yeah, so back to the USB 1541, onto that section there. First time I tried it, put it all together, put my card in. Again, just finishing off the install here. So there's some little standoff posts that come with this kit. Might as well put them on. Again, just sped this up because let's face it, I'm putting posts onto a PCB. It's not rocket science here. No one needs to watch that for too long. Okay, that's it all together. My assumption was as soon as I put power on this, I should see something on the display. I should see something happening. I've just got a regular Raspberry Pi power supply. So this is a micro USB for the Raspberry Pi 3. As you can see, I've got a red light come up on there, but nothing, no other signs of life at all. What I found out again later on is, oddly, sometimes it will come up with a display like this, but to guarantee the display does come up, because again I switched it off because I thought maybe the display, something's not right with the display. Just tried it without the display to see if something would happen. Make sure the card was reinserted properly. What I realized is the options file needs to be altered as well. So right now when you first get it, everything is commented out. So here what I'm highlighting is the bits that I uncommented for my one. So as you can see there on the ROM now, that's changed to a 1541-2. So I just used a different ROM image to that one that I originally put on there earlier. And again, like just going through all the various things that I commented out, like you can change the frequency of the little blips and things like that, just to see if that makes any difference to it. But yeah, that's it. So that's the options thing saved. And then there's my new thing. So the other thing as well with the Sound Expander is, as you can see, I've got a lead now plugging into a little speaker, because you can put it through the monitor. I just thought I'd do it to a separate speaker. So you see now I've got the 1541. See, that time for some reason it did come on with a display, but with the 1541 plugged in to the actual Commodore 64 display always comes on. So I just turn that on, and then we'll go over to the display with the super shaky hands, you can see. So here you just load it up like you would a regular disc. Do that initially. Searches for $, and then you just come up with lists. And again, I did put the font on here, but for some reason, as you can see, there's some funky stuff happening there. It's something I'll address. It doesn't really affect anything. All I've got to know is I've got to load FB64, because obviously it's a Commodore 64 I'm connected to, and then it'll come up with my new menu. Just type run, and as you can see on this thing itself, it's given me a list of all the things, but on the computer it's given me absolute gibberish. However, it doesn't matter. So you can see I'll put a couple of more games on there as well. There's Rygar, there's Chucky Egg, and then there's my there's an SFX Fix, which is supposed to be another bit of software that might work with that, but for now I just put in the Sound Expander 64 D64. So now the moment of truth to see whether this loads any software, and second of all, you can hear the little disk drive working there.
Set. And now we got Sound Expander. Okay. Oops. So now, if I press these keys,
you can use the Commodore overlay for this keyboard, but you can just press the keys either.
Now, if I use these keys here, 1 F3 and F7's my select. Right, so I can go synth, press F7, brings up this one, and go. Change it to synth 1. Okay. Flip it back up the top. Exit. Right, disk. You can hear that thing squeaking away now. Alright, so let's do bank 2, but not bank 1. Okay. Got a whole new load of different sounds. Let's go Space Bell.
And again, that looks like a complete success, so we'll just let it play it out. So it comes with a load of pre-done songs on there as well.
Okay.
So got my little bug there. Very good one-handed joystick, that one.
Got the car bug.
Great, especially when you're holding your camera in your other hand. So yeah, Rolling Thunder, fantastic on every other system except for the Commodore 64.
That's it.